Hey guys, it's Sunmin and welcome back to Your Money Game, the show where we get better with saving, spending and investing. And today it's all about spending and how by tweaking a few little things, you can change permanently the way you spend. To say that it's been a radical first half of the year is really an understatement. The company I'm with thankfully was not really forced to make any permanent financial cuts, and on top of that, we have not really gotten out of the woods because looking at the economy right now, it's genuinely really scary. And even from an investor's perspective, if you look at the current state, it's really hovering between going up and going down. So there's a lot of worry about where it's going to go. So we're not out of the woods anytime soon. So in order to be a bit more defensive in the way I spend, I've been doing a lot of reflecting, and also thanks to the first half of the year out of the way. And I've been asking myself this critical question: why is it I spend and how is it I spend? And what were the mindset shifts that I've kind of made over the years that really stuck and made a permanent change? So I'm here today to share with you those mindset shifts in hopes that it can inspire you to have new perspectives on the way you think about the way you spend as well. Firstly, it's accepting that saving and spending are likely to be your most important levers when it comes to your financial independence. Now, this might trigger some of you guys who truly believe that earning more income, making more money is the most important thing. But yes, it's true, it's important, but those factors are usually not entirely in your control. Now, I've been in those shoes, I've ran my own business before. Now, I've seen again the unpredictability of how that, as well as the markets, might not really reward you in the way you expected it to. On top of that, earning a higher income doesn't necessarily translate to you having a better financial outcome, because you've read those headlines before. You can be a high earner, but on top of that, you can be poor as well. Now, you can try and brute force yourself into a situation of you spending less, but I don't think that's a very sustainable nor a very pleasurable way. The ideal situation is really trying to change the way you look at spending completely, and that lasts a longer time. So it's not about right or wrong, but really it's about getting to know yourself better and finding a better and healthier relationship with money. So let's get started with those mindset shifts. So the first is realizing there's always more than just the sticker cost. And this is especially true the more expensive things get. This is one of those lessons that I learned when I bought my first car. It is not something that I was unaware about, but at the same time, I had no idea the amount it was. From fuel, changing tires, servicing, breakdowns, insurance, parking. So all those were the hidden and maintenance costs that I didn't really think about. I was really just focused a lot on the sticker price, and I didn't really take the time to do the math and think about the total ownership cost of that car. The next is what I would term as a system cost. And for me as a gamer, that's what I experienced when I bought my PlayStation. I again didn't really think about all the different kind of system costs that came into play. Not only are the games expensive, and as you keep buying over time, you really end up spending a lot of money. Now, this is especially true when it comes to hobbies, because once you start on something, you're excited about it, and the deeper you go, I guarantee you'll be able to find things to spend on. Lastly is time and effort costs. While this doesn't really have a direct impact on the way you spend, so I'll give you an example. So for me, I used to be a member of a gym. Previously, I used to spend 30 minutes going to and fro to the gym. And on top of that, if you wanted to factor in small costs like transportation, that all begins to add up over time. This also shows up in the place that you tend to choose to either rent or buy. And again, you don't experience it as a direct cost, but with all the commute, you're taking up time and effort to get to work and back, but you could have spent that time doing something a little bit more productive. Next is, we can all build a better planned versus impulse spending ratio. I recently read a piece of research that shows that, unsurprisingly, planners tend to have better money and investing habits. Shocker. So I know it's impossible to plan everything, and that's not really the point. But if you think about your spending as a ratio of how much do you buy that's planned versus how much do you tend to buy on impulse, this ratio could be something that you begin to get a better handle on. I think this is especially relevant in today's world when you think about the constant notifications from all those e-commerce players, all those sale seasons. Everybody's telling you to buy, now. So if you don't have a plan to spend, you can really get swept away with all this temptation. So you can let yourself be hypnotized and spend impulsively on those type of platforms, or you can take better control and plan your purchases around their sales cycles and take back the advantage. What I'm hoping for is you also plan to hit that like button, subscribe, as well as that bell button for all the gods of YouTube. The next mindset shift is that when you spend, you're actually feeding different needs within you, and you might not be consciously feeding the right type of needs. Now, this came from a podcast that I listened to called The One You Feed. And the premise of the podcast is built around one simple legendary story, and it goes something like this. A grandfather is telling his grandson that deep within us there are these two wolves. And on one hand, there's the wolf that's a bad wolf, which embodies all the negative things within us. There's greed, there's hate, there's anger, and there's the other wolf, which is the good wolf. And the good wolf embodies all that's good within us, right? And it's got all the right virtues like love, generosity, and kindness. And these two wolves are always fighting each other. And the grandson looks towards the grandfather and says, "Which one wins?" Then the grandfather replies, "The one you feed." When we buy things, it's very easy to see the superficial need that we think it fulfills, but sometimes when you think a bit deeper, it's actually trying to fill a different type of need that we might have. We might not even be conscious of the need that it's trying to fill. So for example, you can ask yourself, are you buying that thing because you really love it? Or are you buying it because if you don't, you might feel like you don't belong to a certain group? Or in another way, you can ask yourself that, are you spending according to the values that you truly have? Or are you spending because you're trying to make somebody else happy or live up to somebody else's expectations? Now, nobody is immune to this. We all make purchases that help feed certain things within us. It's really about building greater awareness of what is it that we're feeding. What wolf are we really nurturing? The next mindset shift is understanding that it's actually possible to buy time. Now, most people will understand the basic concept of a trade-off. If I buy A, I can't buy B. But where it gets really powerful is really when you add time into that factor. If I spend on something today, it's actually a tax on something in the future. Now, this mindset gets very powerful when you begin to break down what is the cost of your time. The simplest way is that if you look at your monthly salary and you break that down into an hourly cost, that's how much effort that you need to put in from a time perspective to make that kind of money. Where this gets even more powerful is when you have some kind of financial independence or retirement goal. Now, I've done a video about a financial independence retire early movement before, and you can kind of check it out. But in a nutshell, it asks you to do 3 key things. First is figuring out your desired lifestyle cost on an annual basis. Second, multiplying that by 25 to reach your financial independence number. It's a rule of thumb. And then finally, figuring out a plan to kind of reach that over time. So when you have that rough financial independence number and that goal, you can begin to ask yourself when you're evaluating a current purchase, is this purchase worth it? Choosing to spend on something today is really pushing that goal that you have into the future, because you're going to spend more time making up that money towards that goal. Or you can tell yourself that if I'm not going to buy this thing today, I'm going to reach my financial independence goal that much faster. So that's me. Those are the few perspectives that really made a huge difference in my life. And I hope those perspectives really help you look at the way you spend in a fresh way as well. If you have any questions, comments, or even your own tips, feel free to leave them in the comment box below and I'll get to it. Now, if you've gotten any value out of this, I would really appreciate you hitting that like, subscribe, as well as that bell button, because I'll be back again next Sunday with a brand new video. And until then, take care and keep playing your own game.